Let's talk about the basic 4 pattern, 3 pattern, and 2 pattern. There's a couple ways to approach this. One of them says that you put every beat in the same place. The ikta should be in the same place. The other one says that we can put every beat in a separate place. We're going to explore both in this class, but we're going to emphasize the latter, the kind where every beat has a separate place in our pattern, in our plane here. But just to describe what this focal point style is, what that basically means, you can see here in our 4 pattern, that I'm always beating 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, always beats here. What changes is the direction of my rebound. And this is a good way of explaining and illustrating the basic rule of rebounds, which is that the rebound should generally go in the direction opposite of where we're going to go next. So for example, 3, 4, 1, and this is a little bit of an exception here, but we go up because we're going this way next. So we go the opposite, and then we go that way, and we rebound from here, at the center, we rebound that way because we're going to go to the right next, and then we rebound out to the right because we're going to come back to the center, and then we rebound up because we come back down. So in slow motion, boing, go this way, then we reverse directions, then we reverse directions, then we reverse directions. There's always a reversal of direction in that pattern in terms of where our rebounds are. The other version of that is placing every beat in a different spot. You can see 1 is to the center, 2 is to the left, 3 is to the right, and 4 does come back to the center. 1 to the center, 2 to the left, 3 to the right, 4 to the center. And we can apply this to the other beats also. So other patterns also. So for our 3 pattern, we have 1, 2, 3. Focal point, 2, 3. You can see everything bounces in that same spot. And what makes things different is how we rebound from them. Beat placement, 1, 2, 3. 1 to the right, back to the center. The center to the right, back to the center. And you can notice there's also different ways of rebounding from 1 in a 3 pattern. The most generic and in some ways the most clear method is to come straight up and down and rebound straight up and down and to the right. So we basically have a right triangle, or a triangle that just has this. We don't go past this kind of border here. Another version of it allows us to create and take advantage of more space. You notice with this side, we never really get to express with our right hand on this side of our body. So what we can do to change that is we can place 1 more to the left. So we go 1, 2, 3. It's still a triangle, except 1, instead of being straight down the center, is a little bit to the left. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Another version of that has the same basic effect in terms of allowing us to explore more of our body through the pattern, especially going to beat 2, is to rebound more up and to the left. So instead of rebounding up and then place to the right, and up and place to the right, we're going to rebound up and to the left, and then move across reverse direction and go towards the right. So we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, sometimes in certain circumstances, groups and ensembles can think of this as being a little unclear because they see this and they think, oh, that must be going to be 3, because they're used to saying 1, 2, 3 in a 4 pattern. Sometimes that's a valid concern, and I think if that's the kind of music that you just absolutely need to be clear on 1, 2, 3, is to use the 1, 2, 3 method where we just kind of restrict ourselves to the right side of the body. If that is not an issue, or if it's the kind of issue that we think that should be the player's responsibility, and even though it may not be the most clear, it still is clear if they understand the meter and are able to subdivide and internalize the pulse, then this can be an option for us, placing them to the left, or rebounding more to the left, and then switching directions. 2 pattern. The most generic form of the 2 pattern would just be kind of an inverted or reverse J, where we loop at the bottom. Another version of this takes away that little hook at the bottom of the J and just goes up and down. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, or 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. A couple of caveats or things to worry about that often crop up into people's patterns. The first is as we come across our body in a 4 pattern to beat 3 and to beat 4, or in a 3 pattern from beat going to 2 and then back to 3, or in a 2 pattern to 1 and then back to 2. It's very important to make sure that we trace our pattern identically out and in. So in a 4 pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice how I'm going 1, 2, and then just 3, 4. 3, I'm trying to go the same way I go out and in, as opposed to this, 3, 4, 3, 4. You see there I'm kind of coming over the top, or 3, 4, or 3, 4. We want it's almost like a little whoop, zoop, zoop, and we just trace that. It's worth isolating this over and over again to make sure we do that, to make the pattern clear. It's not that these other gestures aren't useful, we just want to make sure that we do them for expressive purposes and not as a habit. One way to isolate this is in the 2 pattern, because that's really all the 2 pattern is, down and up. We swing and swing back, swing and swing back. Not this, although it can be useful, and not this, or something like that. There's lots of variations on it. In the 3 pattern, it's the same sort of thing. So we go 1, 2, and then trace back to 3. 1, 2, and then trace back to 3. 1, 2, and trace back to 3. Another common problem we have in these patterns is flipping the wrist over throughout it. At the very beginning of our exploration of this, we're going to concentrate on keeping the palm down throughout the pattern. That's going to be true when we add the baton also. So notice how I go 2, 3, 4. On every single beat, my palm stays down. Watch what happens when I flip it. It's most commonly done going to 3. It doesn't look bad. It's just that if we do that all the time, its expressiveness loses its power because we see it all the time. You can see here, kind of twisting around, or in a 3 pattern. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We avoid that 1, 2, 3, and our palm stays parallel to the floor all the way through the pattern. Another way to get to think about the wrist is that we want it to be flexible. It is possible to conduct like this, but to my eye, not only does it look a little stiff, but once we do add the baton, we have to remember the baton is essentially an amplifier of what our arm is doing. So this large motion with the baton in there looks huge when we add the baton. Or this large motion without the baton looks huge when we add the baton. So if we get a little wrist flexibility in there, it can be very useful. And it's mostly from the wrist. The fingers can be involved too, and they can kind of undulate a little bit, but it's mostly this and anything that the fingers do, just as a little bit of the energy of the wave kind of travels through, but that we don't want this sort of motion going on. Useful to isolate this either by immobilizing your forearm or with your left hand, or perhaps by putting your on a desk so your forearm doesn't move down, and just conduct only with the wrist. And you can see we can get a pattern out of there. Sure, our wrist doesn't want to move to the left so much, but it moves up and down and to the right pretty well. And the motion of the wrist, I think, is probably most useful at this point is up and down this way. And where we can use that is 1, 2, 3, 4. This 3, 4, especially a 2 pattern. You can almost do a pattern simply by palm down and show the wrist. Palm down, show the wrist. Palm down or show the palm. Palm down, now show the palm. Or down, hello. Down, hello. Down, hello. It's a very useful way to get that wrist involved.